last Game of Thrones vlog of the season.
I don't know what we're gonna do with it this vlog.
I know. Episode 10 is called The Children.
Lots and lots happened because it is the final episode and they really need to keep you hooked for next season. Not that that was really a problem, but just, you know, they throw stuff at you.
All of the things.
Guess we'll start off at the wall.
Alright. So, our good buddy Jon Snow decides to head north of the wall in an attempt to assassinate Mance Rayder, King Beyond the Wall. And during their little talks, and Mance kind of realizes what Jon's about to do, they hear a trumpet, and you're just like, oh boy, what is this? Who is this?
What new hell?
Well, who is it other than our good buddy?
Stannis Baratheon! Jerk.
Okay,
Jerk of all
okay,
most
like,
hated king.
I love
Pretender.
Okay, I love Stannis. Okay, he's a fascinating character to me because there's a description of him at one point where it's like Stannis is like iron, where he's really kind of like hard, but he's brittle. And I just like, but okay, the best part about this whole Stannis thing is like Jon Snow is just like, who the hell are you? And Davos, our beloved Davos, is like, boy, this is King Stannis Baratheon. And you're just like, Davos loyal to the very end.
Oh, Davos.
I love him, and he's so funny in armor. It just doesn't, him on a horse does not seem right. Just saying.
It is, and I'm sure he can't really ride a horse. Davos the character, anyways.
Jon coaches Stannis into taking Mance captive instead of
killing
him
because he was showing mercy, which Mance had showed him before,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was like a nice little character thing for Jon. It's just interesting because you do not expect Stannis there. Like in the books, in the show, you're just like, who the hell? Oh my god! You're pretty sure Stannis was going the other direction, and all of a sudden he's just on the other side of the wall.
And
you're
it
like,
makes so much sense. I was talking about it in the last vlog. It's just like, Melisandre, fire, the wall and the White Walkers, ice, a song of ice and fire.
or you have dragon. Next we have, if we're kind of working our way up the land, we have what happens with Brienne and Podrick and Sandor and Arya, which was a very disconnected scene, kind of almost from everything that we've come to know about at least Brienne. So basically what happens is Brienne and Pod run into Arya and the Hound, and it doesn't take Brienne very long to realize that the little boy on the Hound's side is actually Arya, and she's like, hey, I've sworn an oath to your mother, I'm going to take you to her, or I'm going to keep you safe, you know, like, come with me. And Arya's like, I know that sword, that's a Lannister sword, like, I don't believe you at all. And Brienne's like, no, you're coming with me, and the Hound's like, you can go screw yourself.
Pause. The Hound stole my heart in this scene because Brienne's like, what are you doing? Are you protecting her? And he's like, yes, I am. And I'm like, he's like, it's just like the whole really screwed up kind of father-daughter relationship. But I'm just like, he freaking likes you, Arya. He likes you.
And then Brienne and the Hound have this really brutal battle. It was almost as bad as the Mountain and yeah, it's brutal battle where Brienne finally beats the Hound, and the Hound's just like kind of pushed off a cliff, and he's just lying there.
You can like hear bones snap.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. And then the Hound begs Arya to kill him, and she just kind of stares at him, takes his money, and then walks away. And it was heartbreaking because, number one, the Hound's dying, dead, broken. And number two, what the hell did they just do to Brienne's character? Like, it's not something she would do.
Something that we've been talking about is that Brienne is basically the only kind of fully good character left. We've basically watched all these other characters either from the actions of others or the actions of themselves become corrupt. Brienne has always been kind of like this pillar of light. She upholds like the the morals and chivalry and yada yada yada, and that's a big deal because she's not technically a knight because she's a lady and ladies can't be knights, So this is kind of her like first step into like moral gray area like everyone else. And I don't know if this is them trying to be like, look, she's complicated.
Or
It's just another...
It's interesting because it doesn't happen in the book like that at all.
In the book, doesn't he die of like a festering bite on his neck?
Which it kind of looked like they were going to do because Arya was like, you should have let me burn it. And he's like, no, it's kind of itching me or bugging me, whatever. But then Bran comes out of nowhere and takes him out.
I like the bite death better because it's kind of dirty. Like, it's not...
It's just like one of those things that would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might have died of syphilis, or you might have died of an infected bite, like, you know.
And now that we're talking about the whole biting thing, it's kind of funny, because if you think about the World Cup that's going on at this time,
oh
there's
my
like
God.
Random segue. But, like, the Hound is definitely one of my favorite characters, and I'm definitely gonna miss him, because he's just so much fun in his, like, messed up way. And the fact when he's begging her to kill him, like, kill me, and he's telling her all these things that he thinks would piss her off enough to kill him, and she's just staring at him. He's like, oh, I rode down that butcher's boy. Oh, I should have
raped your sister. Like, just, he's throwing everything at her to get her to put him out of his misery, and she just doesn't, and you kind of don't really have a reason why she doesn't kill him. Like, does she actually like him? Does she just want him to suffer more? Like, the actress just doesn't give you anything. She just kind of leaves you with questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good.
Yeah. One more thing with Arya, she's headed off to Bravos, so
yeah,
big change. She gives over the coin that Jaqen, our good buddy, the face changer, and we got like there's something coming. The whole, like, because she's like, oh, I don't have any, I just have this, and he sees the coin, and she says,
Valar dos something. All men must die.
And he just, like, oh, of course.
Words.
And he's just like, oh, you'll have a cabin and everything. It's like, oh boy, what's coming? Big deals here, guys. Important twists. Bran.
Okay, this was an interesting scene for me, especially... Anyways, so Bran is on his way trying to find the three-eyed crow, and they eventually get there. Oh my god, there was an end to this. Who knew? And it is this giant heart tree that is, like...
pretty. It's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous tree. It's huge. It's been around for probably like 1,000 years, 2,000 years. And they're walking up to this tree, and all of a sudden they get attacked by people from the Pirates of the Caribbean. They just
First one.
Yeah, they just kind of pop out of the snow, and I was like, oh.
I was sitting there watching it. I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell?
I was waiting for Jack Sparrow to come along with the canoe. Like, it was just...
Like, the thing about this show is it kind of, like, skirts the fantasy elements. Like, the biggest fantasy element you have going for you are the dragons and the White Walkers. But other than that, it's fairly, like, not fantasy-esque. And so when it just, like, slaps you in the face with, look, skeletons! They're attacking people! You're just kind of, like, disjointed. It's, like...
And... See, it would have been a lot more, like, terrifying and more, like, to the series if they had been, like, frozen dead people. Because how long have they been there? Like, the North doesn't thaw out. They wouldn't have rotted like that.
What are they? Can someone explain to me why there are skeletons near this tree?
They were just there. I mean, the White Walkers are everywhere, right?
So they were White Walker skeletons?
They were White Walkers. That's what they were, but they just didn't look like White Walkers, which was what was bugging me.
Oh, are they like whites? Like the corpse, reanimated corpses?
Yeah. They're supposed to be like your regular old White Walkers.
Then why are they near the tree?
Because they can't get into the tree.
So they're just gonna like, okay, we're gonna chill under the snow, and we're gonna totally wait here, because one day, someone's gonna say, oh look, a pretty tree, let's walk towards it, and then I'm totally gonna reach up and grab his ankle.
Yep.
That's the plan.
It's forethought.
Let's sit here, guys. It could be 1,000 years. I'm kind of happy, like, with the children. They show one of the children, and they actually look like children. I know in a lot of interviews, George R. R. Martin's like, no, the children are not elves. They are not the elves. This is not Tolkien. They're not elves. And I kind of saw the temptation that they could have gone that route. But they didn't, which was nice.
Because they were actually supposed to look like children. They're like, we're not kids, but those damn first men kept calling us children, so freaking stuck. But yes.
And so we go in the tree. And then what the hell? We are now officially, with the Bran story, past what I know in the book. And so they go into this tree. And there's this guy sitting there. And I'm just like, Odin? Odin, is that you? Odin, you were supposed to hang from the tree, not sit in the roots. Odin, what's going on?
Anyways, this guy's like covered in tree roots, and that's about it. He's kind of just old.
You said it was a lot more gory.
It was way cooler in the book. In the book, okay, this is how I pictured him. Okay, I need the name of the guy, the fabulous guy in The Hobbit.
Celeborn?
Yes.
No! Thranduil. Celeborn's in a lot of things.
Thranduil?
Thranduil.
Okay. I pictured him looking like a decrepit version of Thranduil, where he looks like Thranduil, but like 1,000 years he's just aged, and he's supposed to be like have like tree roots going like under him and over him and kind of like growing through his limbs. He's supposed to be missing one eye. The other one's supposed to be red. A worm hanging down from his eye socket, and like mushrooms growing off of his face. Like, that is what he is supposed to look like. And I looked at the portrayal of him and I was like, HBO, come on! Like, you had this one. They handed this to you. What happened?
Well, I guess we had too much fantasy with the skeletons, so we have to dial it back a bit with the crazy man under the tree.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And so he's like to Bran, I've been waiting for you. And Bran's like, can I walk again? And he's like, no, but you will fly. All right, there we go. I'm interested. I'll watch it. Okay, you're doing well. You got me. Finally. King's Landing, where all the shit really happens. Sir Gregor Clegane survived.
By some godforsaken miracle.
Our good old buddy Oberyn had one last hurrah, and the fact that his blade was like laced with poison, and so if he didn't kill him on the battlefield, he should be dying in his bed. But our freaky, like, ex-Meister guy is like, I can save him, but he'll come back different. What do you mean?
What do you mean different? We didn't like him to begin with. How much more different can this guy get?
Is he going to become a kitten? And the Cersei's just like,
whatever.
Will he be weak? And he just looks at her and is like, no. And I'm just like, oh crap, he's about to get about 1,000,000 times worse. This is not what I thought. This is not what I wanted.
I can't deal with this shit anymore. I can't deal with this shit anymore.
How come you kill off all the characters I love, and then when I don't really like someone, they somehow manage to be? I am not dead yet.
No.
But the big deal is that Cersei tells Tywin that if she is forced to marry Loras, she's going to tell everyone that all the babies are products of incest. And Tywin, in a very interesting development, refuses to accept this. Like, Cersei basically attacks him the whole, like, you family is this, this, and this, and yet you don't realize that your family is, like, the most screwed up thing on the face of this earth. And Tywin's motives are kind of called into question there. Maybe he's not as there as you think he is.
But yeah. But anyways, so in the coup de grace, Jaime's like, I can't let Tyrion die, he's my little brother. I'm going to let him out. And so he lets him out and he sends him off to meet Varys. But Tyrion realizes that he has access to his father's chambers, because that's where the passage that he then goes. So up he goes, and he enters his father's chambers, and then he hears Tywin, and who's in his father's bed except Shay?
She calls him my lion. She calls Tywin my lion.
And in an interesting fit of rage, Tyrion strangles her.
Sure. And then he grabs a crossbow off the wall.
And he goes to find Daddy Dearest, who happens to be crapping in a pot.
Like the most wonderful death on this show. What are you gonna do? Shoot me? You shot me!
Say whore one more time. Whore!
Now, it's kind of funny, because if you think back, I think it was earlier in this season, there was this very interesting speech by Littlefinger, where Littlefinger's like, people die everywhere. People die at their tables. People die in the privy. And
People die in bed.
Biggest deaths in Game of Thrones this year. Joffrey at the table. Shay in bed. And Tywin Lannister
On the privy. So any of you who are savvy enough to catch that, there you go.
I will definitely miss the actor who played Tywin Lannister. He was always a joy, just with his very, very deep voice, and just like, I freaking hate everyone. I am the only person who is competent in this friggin' castle. Khaleesi!
Yay!
So 2 things happen with our good old friend the Khaleesi. First, a slave approaches her and is like, I want to be a slave again. And she's very, no, I don't know, you don't want that. And he's like, this is all I know. It's your world is great for the young, but for the old, we've only known so much. And so she lets him sign a contract so that he can go back to his master, but only for a year. And then another guy comes in, and he's bearing a bundle, and he's very like, frazzled, and he places it down on the dais and he opens it up. It's the charred remains of his daughter, because Drogon, one of the dragons,
decided that he needed a snack. And of course she's horrified because she's a good person. And she can't think of anything else to do. So she gathers up the 2 dragons she can actually catch and she locks them away in the dark. And it was just, you're just kind of like, wow, where do you go from that? I mean, like, she's like, defines herself as the mother of dragons, and now she's just,
And it comes full circle because near the beginning of the series we had that issue where we saw the dragon flying and there was a child there, but it went for the sheep. That was also Drogon. So he's moving up to people now.
Yeah, so Khaleesi is really gonna have to deal with some morality issues.
Which we've seen with her character.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the next season.
Yeah.
So we've been left with a few questions and very little answers, like normal.
Usual. What are your final thoughts on season 4 of Game of Thrones?
Ultimately, I'm going to say they're doing a really good job. I mean, people who are still talking about the show and they're still just like, oh my god, and don't tell me those spoilers, just... so, like, okay, yes, some things are different than the books and I'm always going to complain, but they're doing a good job, so...
I was definitely impressed with this season. It definitely brought things that I didn't really notice in the books, like how I mentioned countless times that my favorite character this entire series, season was Oberyn, and how he didn't really make an impression on me when I read the books. So I'm kind of happy that I was given that kind of realization, and I definitely want to go back and reread them, just because I want to, like, pay more attention. But definitely they're doing a really, really good job. And when you adapt something, you can't do it exactly like the book, because they're 2 completely different mediums. So you can appreciate them both separately for what they are. But yeah, I am like super pumped, and I'm already following all the information that they're giving about next season, like casting and location, and the queen going and refusing to sit on the Iron Throne. Like, this show's definitely changed a lot with TV.
Yeah, and we have a lot to look forward to in the next season. Very excited. I'm just gonna say, sand snakes.
It's gonna be awesome.
Bye, guys.